This is going to be a walkthrough of the first things you should do to set up a new Ubuntu server. I'm assuming at this point that you have the reference implementation hardware, you have installed Ubuntu permanently from a USB thumb drive, and you've got a brand new Ubuntu installation. What we're going to cover in this video are all the basic software that you should update on the computer in order to prepare to set it up for the back-end services like a full node and the indexers. We're not going to cover that stuff in this video. We're just going to cover this preparation to do before you move into those other videos. So it's going to start with installing the SSH secure shell, which lets you remotely log into the computer. We're going to update and upgrade all the built-in packages, install node.js, JavaScript, install Docker and Docker Compose, install the Go programming language, and we're going to install IPFS, which we will then later use to download the pre-synced databases. And then we'll install some basic Linux apps. So let's go ahead and dive right in here. There's going to be a lot of work on the terminal. So I'm logged into my dev laptop, and I just installed a brand new Ubuntu on this desktop. And so I'm going to log in there, and I've already have a non-root user with sudo privileges. So sudo executes the instruction as if you were root. This is the best way to. This is considered best practice. Is to use a non-sudo or a non-root user. So because I'm remotely connected, I've already installed OpenSSH server, but that you would install that with sudo apt install OpenSSH server, and that would install the secure shell, which lets you connect remotely, which I'm doing right now. Also, early on, you're going to want to run sudo apt update. This will update the packages or the package libraries on where to get packages, and then sudo apt upgrade, which will upgrade your system. Think of it like a Windows update. So those are good commands to run early on. You'll also probably want to run sudo apt install nettools. I've already done that, and that will let you run this ifconfig command. So ifconfig, and that will let you look up the IP address, which you'll need in order to remotely log in using SSH. So that brings us up to date with what I've done with this computer so far. I've installed OpenSSH, I've run update and upgrade, and I ran that nettools command so I could look up my IP address. So now let's install node.js JavaScript. Let's make sure it's not already on here. Okay, it's not. I will link to these notes in a gist. Yeah, so I set up this gist on GitHub, and this QR code encodes this URL. So if you want to scan this with a QR code, this will take you to the gist that will list all of the commands that I have in this presentation. So going back to installing Node, I'm going to copy this and paste it in here. Oh, so it looks like I need to install curl. Okay, so now curl has been installed. Maybe this will work. There we go. So that installed the package library, and now I'm going to actually install node.js in this other package called build essentials. Okay, so with Node installed, we've got Node 14, and then npm is another package that comes along for the ride, but we need to upgrade that. So sudo npm install gnpm. I think that's what I have in the notes. Yeah, right here. So that'll upgrade npm to the latest version. Okay, yeah, npm 8. Okay. So now the Node.js JavaScript is installed. We can install Docker. Docker is used to run a lot of the production software. We need to install this software properties common. That's already installed. And then it'll get the install script. And then once it's finished installing, we need to add our user to the Docker group. Okay, so Docker has been installed, and we need to add our user to the Docker group. And then log out and log back in. And then you can do docker psa, so that there's no containers running, but if there were containers running, that would show. So now that we've installed Docker, we can install docker compose. This will download the binary. And we're installing docker compose 1.274. And then this command will make the binary executable. So now we got docker compose. Version, yeah, there we go. Let's see, no such file or directory. Oh, could not resolve GitHub. Okay, need to download that again. There we go. Now we can make it executable. All right, we got docker compose and Docker. Next we'll install Go, and we install Go through the snap module, which is a more and more common way to install software. First we have to install snapd. Looks like that was already installed. And then we can install the Go programming language. And once this is done, this will allow us to install IPFS. Okay, Go is installed. There we go. And finally, we can install IPFS. This looks a little squished together here, but this command is going to download version 0.11 of IPFS. And it's downloaded as a tar file, which we will unzip with tar xvf, and then the file we just downloaded. So that created this Go IPFS directory, and now there's that install, so we can sudo install, and now IPFS is installed. Okay, IPFS init will initialize, And then that creates this .ipfs directory. So if I print the working directory, that's the path. And this config file is what controls the IPFS node that you just installed. But you can start it with IPFS daemon, which then you'll need to open up a new terminal in order to, you got to leave the daemon running. But this is how you bring up an IPFS node, which you can then use in the future videos. We'll use this to download the the saved database images that we'll mount with Docker containers in order to get full nodes and the indexers running. Okay, so I quit out of the IPFS. There's just a few more commands I want to cover before I let you go. These are just basic utility apps that are good to have. So that's git and curl, which we already installed curl, wget, which we already used, zip and unzip, those are pretty handy, and then the nettools command. Those are all really good packages that I like to install, and there's a couple packages I like to uninstall. This unattended upgrades will this will prevent the computer from automatically upgrading. You have to explicitly tell it to upgrade. It won't upgrade automatically in the background with that package removed, which is the way I like it. I don't like surprises. I don't like my computer updating when I don't know about it. And then this update manager is sort of this visual modal that'll pop up on the desktop and remind you to update, and I don't like that reminder either. And so that will remove that. I find that a little irritating. So those are the last couple commands. Again, if you scan this QR code with a QR code scanner, it will take you to this gist where I will have notes of all the commands covered in this video.